breaking inputs coming in at this point in time. And this news is related to Strait of Hormuz. Strait exit for France in Hormuz. French-owned ships have also managed to exit the Strait of Hormuz. First vessel, in fact, that was supposed to go to France has got a safe passage from the Strait of Hormuz. This is the big news that we are getting for you at this point in time. A container ship signaling French ownership has managed to exit the very crucial waterway, Strait of Hormuz. And this is extremely important because just yesterday, US President Donald Trump indicated that it's not America's job to ensure ships cross the Strait of Hormuz safely, because US does not really rely on it for its oil and energy requirements. So the countries that rely on this particular route should look at the possibility of possibility of getting it reopened the way they want to. Shinjoy Chaudhary, my colleague, is now joining us on the broadcast for more on this. Shinjoy, this is a huge development. A vessel linked to Western Europe has managed to get a safe exit from the Strait of Hormuz.
Yes, through the Straits of Hormuz, and it's an important moment, as you rightly said. The thing is that this is the first, and it comes importantly enough after that big meeting of 35 countries in which Vikram Misri, India's foreign secretary, took part. Now, this is a sign that perhaps Iran is beginning to understand the pressures Western Europe, India, China, Japan, South Korea are facing because the Strait of Hormuz was closed. So this is an important development. But is it going to be the only container ship to go through, or is it going to be the first of many? That has to be looked at, because that is really important. If this becomes a regular thing and more ships go through the Strait of Hormuz, then naturally the petrol situation, the crude oil situation will be much improved.
Timing is also very important, Shinjoy, because just yesterday we were talking about the meeting that was, that also happened. UK hosted that very crucial meeting on Strait of Hormuz, and today this big news has come in.
The British actually began the process, and India took part in the meeting. Vikram Misri, Foreign Secretary, took part in the meeting, and 35 countries took part. So that clearly may have helped in this happening, because the Iranians see Israel and, of course, America as the enemy. So that is the major point here. And, of course, the other enemies are allies of the Americans and the Israelis. Now, with the situation within NATO, with European members of the NATO being the way they are, and what President Trump has said about them. In fact, he's even called them cowards. So this is something that probably the Iranians also are aware of.
And also how of late we have seen how several European countries have not really, joined American president's efforts really in this regard, and how France specifically did not respond the way American president wanted France to respond as far as this war is concerned. Do you think that stance of Emmanuel Macron could have also helped this move?
You're right, but it's not just Macron. Of course, Macron, but also because if you remember the countries that President Trump wanted to be part of this, to be involved in escort duties, were Britain, a very old friend of America, France, Germany, China, surprisingly, Japan, South Korea, and so on. And none of the countries actually agreed. Later, Japan cut a separate deal with the Iranians. That's, of course, a different matter. But it is important to note that this also comes after President Macron's statement about President Trump.
All right, Shinjoy, thank you very much for the moment for joining us with your input on this story. We'll, of course, be tracking it very closely ahead as well.